Hello and welcome, dear viewers. Today's episode broadcasting live from the heart of Beirut. The truce implemented on November 27, its main target was to end Israeli aggression on Lebanon that claimed thousands of lives and displaced more than 1 million. But yet, no law or deal is stopping Israel from violating daily, since the ceasefire was implemented, Lebanon's sovereignty. As if this agreement was another form of warfare that will facilitate the way to the Israelis to achieve military operations or military targets they failed to achieve during the 14-month war on Lebanon. We monitored the latest developments concerning these breaches. Just yesterday, an Israeli airstrike on the town of Beit Laif killed 6 people and injured 5 others. Another drone strike killed 1 person in Deir Syrian. These attacks take place amid an incomprehensible delay in the formation of the committee that is supposed to oversee the implementation of this ceasefire or of this deal. However, Lebanon might be facing another kind of threat at its borders with Syria, as the armed opposition managed to enter the capital Damascus amid reports about President Bashar al-Assad's departure in Syria. How will this new scenario affect the resistance, and will it awake sleeper cells in Lebanon? To discuss these topics, I'm joined here with Dr. Ali Hamiye, military and strategic researcher, to speak more about these topics. Hello and welcome to today's episode, Dr. Ali.
Thanks for having me with you today.
As always, Lebanon, and since the first day of the implementation of this ceasefire, and it's been violating Lebanon's sovereignty, and we make sure to report these breaches to our own viewers, and we keep them updated day by day about these breaches and where are they happening. The latest ones, as I highlighted, is an Israeli airstrike on the town of Beit Laif, killed 6 people and injured 5 others. Another drone strike killed 1 person in Deir Syrian. Of course, we witnessed a little bit of a calm situation the day before yesterday, but this happened yesterday. How do you evaluate this, and what is Israel trying to send? What's the message that Israel is trying to send with these constant violations?
Well, Israel, since its creation and declaration statement for Israelis as a state
Yes.
in the Middle East, they never applied or performed any or accept any UN resolution. Since the 194 UN resolution up to 1701, none of these declarations or resolutions were applied on Israel. Israel is above the law as long as supported by the United States, and the veto is always following any decision of Israelis' aggression against the neighboring countries, against the Palestinian, against the Gaza Strip.
So it's because they were never held accountable. That's why they feel free to actually do whatever they want, even if it's a ceasefire implemented. Because according to international law, when a ceasefire is implemented, we don't witness these incidents.
The Israeli entity, they are above the law. They don't consider themselves in or under the law, and especially international law. We saw what happened in the International Criminal Court.
Yes.
They accused Benjamin Netanyahu as a war criminal, but what they did instead of handing him to the international law, they start making new decisions and statements to impose sanctions against the
International
judges,
Criminal Court.
Exactly, against the judges, and he became more powerful after being declared as terrorist prime minister.
Okay, after this escalation that happened yesterday, do you think that Hezbollah will also retaliate? Because at the beginning of the war, Israel continued breaching Lebanon's sovereignty for more than 6 days until Hezbollah decided to retaliate in defense.
We never have confidence in what we have been written or declared by the American and the Israelis, and we always like depends on our arms and rifles and our own decisions inside. The Israelis since 1947, not 48, not 49. I'm talking 47, like a year before declaration, state declaration. Now the Israelis, even though they told the American that they are under the 1701, but they have more than 39,000 violation breaching this resolution since 2006.
Yes.
So what's the difference between 2006 and 2024? Nothing. The Israeli will still breaching, violating all the resolutions.
But don't you think there is a kind of escalation now? They are targeting civilians. I mean, 6 people have been killed yesterday. They're using the white phosphorus, which are internationally banned weapons in the Lebanese soil. How do you view this?
Israelis used all the prohibited weapon of mass destruction all year long against the Palestinian. The Israelis, up to now, they didn't achieve any good target against the military groups within Hezbollah or against Hamas. They are only a killing machine against civilians, ethnic cleansing, genocides, destroying all civilian infrastructures. We are talking about hospitals, schools, universities, churches, mosques,
civil defense,
medical teams. So they are not only killing as a war going on, they are killing as the future strategy of the area in here should be without any resistance access.
Okay.
And that's why, according to Bob Woodward's, as he declared in his book, The War,
yes,
he said that this was mentioned in the conference in Cyprus about a year before the 7th of October, with the confirmation and agreements and acceptance of 5 states in the Arab world whom they are within the normalizations with the Israeli entity to demolish Gaza. It means demolishing mean no human, no houses, okay? And to defeat Hezbollah and to destroy Syria and to go after all the access countries.
Yes.
So why the Israelis, after the victorious day in Syria with those people, what kind of things that can prevent Israel from renewing an aggression against Lebanon in any way? They are trying now,
yes,
violating the 1701 and the statement agreement, what happened like about 2 weeks ago.
So you're saying that we are accustomed to these kind of breaches because in 2006 until today we have witnessed around 40,000 violations of Lebanon's sovereignty. However, Doctor, we view the ceasefire as a fragile ceasefire, and a lot of politicians see it as it is breakable. Anytime we can lose it, and then definitely another war will be launched inside Lebanon. And other scenarios are saying that we only need to wait until the 60 days are over, and now we're almost 50 days.
If we are talking,
so do you see it that way? Do you think that we're at risk until the 60 days that was asked by the, of course, as a deal of the implementation of the ceasefire is applied?
I think the Israelis are living in a contradiction inside. War of contradictions.
Disunity between among the
yes,
nations.
And every time there is one of the elements of big contradiction between them, they try to attack Lebanon, to attack Gaza, to maybe attack Al-Julan district now.
Yes.
They try to distribute their aggressions aggression against all those countries. So now Netanyahu, he's a criminal in the eye of the international law. He's a criminal and corrupted man inside the Israeli entity. Every time there is approach about taking him into custody, into the court, he tried or he tries to attack and make some chaos inside Lebanon, or maybe if he feels now between the chaos and the contradictions, war instead of management inside the Israeli entity, and what happened in Syria, he might go for a big aggression against Lebanon, maybe soon.
So that's how you see it.
That's why I see it.
Okay, these attacks takes place amid an incomprehensible delay in the formation of the committee that is supposed to oversee the implementation of this deal. They said that there is a meeting to be held inside Lebanon. All the factions came here, and up till this moment, we haven't seen the formation of this committee. We haven't seen the result of it. And what is the duty of this committee is to oversee and implement and make sure that both sides do not breach the deal, the 1701 resolution, with
up to now for like 10 days.
Is it deliberate, Doctor? Is it deliberate action taken by the U.S. or the Israelis for this committee not to be formed, so that Israel will have the chance to commit more violations inside Lebanon?
Let me tell you this first before I go into answering the question. Up to now, we have 3 resolutions: 1701, 1680, 1559, to be implemented between Lebanon and the Israeli entity.
Yes.
Okay? And they are trying to push Lebanon to implement such resolutions within the declaration of 1701 and predecessor UN resolution.
Okay.
They are talking about only 1680, 1559 before the 1701. But we know that there is 76 UN resolution against Israel to be implemented by them. They are obliged to implement those resolutions aside at the same time with Lebanon implementing and accepting the resolutions, which there are 3 resolutions.
Okay.
So in this case, we are talking about, because now we are talking about this, there is 3 main points in the 1701 announcement, cessation of hostilities.
Okay.
It's not a truce, it's not a contract, it's not let's say agreement.
Okay.
It's an announcement, and it's an announcement to implement for the implementation of UN resolution 1701.
Okay.
Nothing more, nothing less. But they add some place here that the government of Lebanon will prevent Hezbollah and all other armed groups in the territory of Lebanon from carrying out any operations against Israel.
Okay.
And Israel will not carry out any offensive military.
Okay.
Why not offensive military here and offensive military there? Or why not operations, military operation here and military operation there?
Okay.
This is what they call it, the freedom of movements.
And that's how they define it, and that's how they interpret it, and that's what led to it.
And they say the Israeli army is IDF, Israeli Defense Forces.
Okay.
Okay. And they said that they can, and preventive strikes, they can do it against any terrorist act, because they consider Hezbollah as a terrorist organization.
Okay.
Okay. And they are allowed by international law to do so. We also, if they want to say that, we also, and there is a lot of countries, consider Israel as a terrorist state. And by law also, international law, they consider Benjamin Netanyahu as a terrorist prime minister, a criminal, war criminal prime minister. So this freedom of movement, they want to consider it against us. It's against them also. And also in the consistent with the UNSCR 1701
Yes.
and its predecessor resolutions in order to prevent the re-establishment and rearmament. They are talking about the past. They are talking about the future. They
Yes.
are not talking about the
what
past.
you're highlighting is a very important point that shows clearly that Israel reads these deals the way that it deems
They want
necessary
from their point of
from
view.
their point of view.
But
however, allow me here, Doctor, to actually speak about another major threat that Lebanon might be facing at the borders, at the borders with Syria, taking into consideration this speedy or this escalation in the incidents that happened in Syria. Yesterday, we were watching clearly until 5 o'clock in the morning how these armed opposition, they were taking over Damascus, Hama, Aleppo, and a lot were wondering why the Syrian soldiers were not fighting back. And I would like to take your own analysis on this. Of course, the result was Bashar al-Assad left Syria, and now, of course, there is a transitional period over there. So if you can give me your perspective upon that.
I think we are overwhelmed by going into explanation to the situation in Syria.
Yes.
And what's the agreements between the big countries and the cities of
what do you mean by big countries?
decisions? I'm talking about Russia, Iran, Turkey, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, United States, China. We saw that what's going on in Syria. We don't consider it as, I don't know, as a coup d'etat. I don't know. It's a kind of invasion by Turkish army, by Syrian troops. Only yesterday, Al-Julani was considered as the most wanted and a prize on his head for the United States.
Yes.
Only yesterday, day before yesterday. And yesterday, they invite him for an interview on the CNN to discuss with him the future of Syria.
Yes, of course, here we have to tell our own viewers, Abu Muhammad Al-Julani, he's the leader of Tahrir al-Sham, Salafist Jihadi organization. He broke contact, according to the news, with both ISIS and Al-Qaeda to take his group in a new direction, and now he is leading the entire scenario inside Syria. But before going back to the Golan Heights and its importance, and I know that there is a lot to say about it, especially when it comes to the Israeli breaches over there. However, if we want to evaluate what happened, as if what the escalation and the military actions yesterday exceeded the diplomatic talks that were taking place inside Doha and also inside Baghdad. Because there were talks among officials from different countries in order to ease in the way over there.
The easiness of what happened yesterday and day before, it make it some kind of confusion to be explained.
Yes.
Let's say starting from Idlib, and in 15 minutes you find them in Aleppo. In 1 hour you found them in Hama, then in Homs. From Homs to Damascus, if you want to drive, you need at least maybe 2 hours, and 10 minutes the falling of Damascus.
So you're saying that there were sleeper cells in these areas?
Exactly.
They weren't moving from one side to the other. There were sleeper cells inside Damascus, for example.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. And the control, we saw those people a day before yesterday. As I said, Abu Muhammad al-Jawlani was considered as a terrorist.
Yes.
Group leader.
But he's not presenting himself like this anymore.
Now they changed him,
reason?
they cleaned him, they put a tie and a suit on him, and they interviewed him as he is the salvation of the Syrian.
So they're going to present him in that perspective deliberately?
Yes.
Deliberately?
But if we read carefully the American strategy, what happened from 1991 up to now, we see that the American strategy is always using such kind of people for a short time period, and then they kill them, they get rid of them. We saw the Bihullah, Taliban were invited by Madeleine Albright, the Secretary of State, State Secretary, American Secretary of State, and on the Bill Clinton administration. And then after 2 months, after they calmed them down,
Yes.
the Taliban, they destroyed Tora Bora and most of the areas. So after that, Abu Mus'ab al-Zarqawi in Iraq, they declare him as a historic a hero with the Al-Qaeda. He's fighting the American and stuff, and then they killed him. They finished him.
Okay.
Now,
Yes, but now what is the use or what is the need of using these groups according to your own perspective if they are backed by the United States and the Israelis? Then for what reason? Is it because they failed to achieve their own objectives militarily inside Gaza or inside Lebanon, and therefore they move to another scenario, destroying the axis of the resistance wherever they are, especially Syria with the borders of Lebanon, because that's where the transfer of weapons and of course munitions goes from Syria to Lebanon. Is that the major reason, or there are other reasons, Doctor?
do you think that the United States and Israel and all the countries were against only Bashar al-Assad? No. If you take it tactically, they are against the regime of Bashar al-Assad, tactically.
Yes.
Strategically, they are against Syria. Syria now, not the regime fall down. I'm talking about Syria is falling down. We are talking about big part of Syria is under the American control with Qassad. We are talking about the part of Syria still not invaded by those military groups. We are talking about the shore places of Syria.
Okay.
We are talking about also the Tanaf area is still dominated by the American and the Israelis. Why those revolutionaries, if they want to consider them,
Yes, but you're speaking about
why they
yes.
didn't go into the area controlled by United States? It means that the Israelis and the American doesn't want Syria as a whole
Yes,
country.
but Donald Trump yesterday, and I'm pretty the elected president that's yet to be inaugurated, he actually explained that he has that the United States is not interested in Syria, and that whatever happens over there is a Syrian dilemma that's supposed to be solved eternally, and it has nothing to do with the United States, and they don't want to be involved in that dilemma.
This is the beginning of the speech. We have to see the end of that speech by Donald Trump. Now he cannot say more than he said. But can you imagine in the last 2 months for the Biden administration, all the world changed upside down? How come Syria, you fight for 13 years and you couldn't take Syria as a whole? Now within 24 hours, Syria fell down in the hand of a terrorist group considered by you as a terrorist group, and with a suit and tie, and with a new look and a new formation, and new policies.
Yes.
No, it's not convincible what Donald Trump said. Now they have no interest in entering what's going on in Syria. But usually the United States doesn't enter any conflict unless they want to come for the harvest point to take the fruits easy and ready.
Okay. Field observations indicate that the Israeli army has expanded its deployment along the borders with Syria, and you were mentioning, you're speaking about the Golan Heights, using bulldozers and equipment to conduct excavation work inside Syrian territory, and that these activities concentrated in the ceasefire zone aim to complete the buffer zone, according to their own, that's their own argument. Why is Israel taking all these procedures? Will these armed forces be of danger or support to the Israelis? And why am I saying support? Because lately we have seen reports coming out from there, from these armed forces or the opposition inside Syria, saying that, first of all, appearing on Israeli television, second of all, sending videos to the Israelis, messages to the Israelis that now they liberated this land, and as if reporting to them as if they have some kind of connection. But again, on the other hand, when you see the Israelis being alert and speaking about deploying more militants at the borders with Syria, in case many soldiers or many opposition forces will come from Syria and will cause a threat to the Israelis, is kind of shocking at one point. How can I understand, or can we understand the Israeli position from the opposition in the Syrian opposition?
Well, first of all, we are talking about the buffer zone, which we have the end of forces, the UN forces there in the buffer zone. It means the Israelis doesn't consider the end of an obstacle. This is one thing. The second thing, that they consider that, as I said, they are above the law. The third thing, they consider that their self-defense imperative.
But what do they want from the Golan Heights specifically?
Because they have no confidence. They're
taking more territory, Syrian territory.
They will.
So they're taking advantage of the crisis that's happening inside Syria right now.
We know that those groups and the spokesman of such a group before, they said, give us Syria and we will give you the Golan Heights, the whole Golan Heights. We know Golan Heights is separated by the end of line. Now the occupied one with the 210 division, Israeli division, we are talking about the buffer zone. We are talking about the eastern part of Golan Heights.
Yes.
Now the Israelis, they have a freedom to take over the whole Golan area, the whole Golan.
So they're raising concerns of the actions of the opposition, Syrian opposition, in order to take advantage and widen the territory, widen territories and take lands from the Golan Heights.
Okay, if we remember that about 2 years ago, on the UN conference, Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israel is so tiny. Okay, and Donald Trump said also on the map, look at Israel, it's so tiny, it should be expanded. Now we are talking about the era deal 1 is almost finished. We are talking about a new era deal number 2.
Okay.
Number 2 is Israel will expand the Golan Heights, the West Bank, a part of Jordan, the whole Jordan actually, Sinai,
yes,
Neom.
So they're applying the map now. They're actually applying, and they're taking advantage of the crisis over there.
Advantage of the weakness of Syria.
Yes.
And but beside that, they have no confidence between them.
Exactly, because defense minister, and as you highlighted, defense minister Israel Katz instructed the army to maintain high level of readiness and continue monitoring developments around the clock. And necessary precautions have been taken already to prevent movements from the Syrian side that could threaten the Israeli security, according to what he highlighted. My question, or the major question, is that how will the opposition, or what will be the stance of the opposition fighters, the opposition, Syrian opposition, towards the Israelis?
I think they have the same goal, is to fall down Bashar al-Assad regime. This is finished. Now.
Then why is Israel sending high level of maintaining high level of readiness and continuing monitoring? Why would they do that if they are in deep connection?
Deep connection, but now the teacher is afraid from his student. Okay. Now the student with a big hand over a big area a large state from which he came, school came from,
Yes.
they cannot consider themselves as friends with the Israelis, and the Israelis still understand they might using the Israelis to control Syria. I'm talking about the other group.
Okay.
If so, the Israelis are afraid, the Israeli entity is afraid from be controlled at the border between Syria and Palestine, and they consider that maybe if they want to take over West Bank, those will oppose such thing.
Yes.
So they go in step by step with the military groups gradually, and they have no confidence between them, all the allies of United States.
Yes.
Everybody, he has his own goal, but the American strategy try to make collective goal which can satisfy all those people. I'm talking about the Syrian groups now. I'm talking about the State of Israel entity. And I'm talking about the other consideration for Iraq, Iran, Turkey, and Egypt. But the first priority of the United States is the satisfaction of Israel. What do you want, Israel? Golan, West Bank, part of Sinai, part of Inyam.
So we will have to wait and see how will they, if they will be able to reach an agreement upon that with the opposition, with the Syrian opposition.
They are not
or
waiting
the
an
armed
agreement.
forces.
No.
They are not waiting an agreement.
No,
so
no, they will do it against them. They will not listen to the opposition.
Will they accept it? Will the armed forces, the opposition, will they accept it?
Do you think they can do what they did in Syria to the Israeli entity?
Okay, but now also we need to actually highlight that al-Jolani decision, the latest decision after the fall of Damascus, was to maintain state institutions. That was very clear yesterday, and they also were sending a lot of messages that we will not fight those that will give up their weapons, and we are peaceful, we are looking for peace, and until we reach the government or until we start ruling or we take over the governmental factions or the aspects or the buildings, then of course we should maintain these state institutions and they should work the way that they are.
This is the American way, this is the American strategy, this is what happened when the 6th of January 2021, when they entered the Capitol Hall and they say we are a democratic country, let them do whatever they want, and then after that they catch them one by one and they put them in jails. They jailed them, about 10,000 people in the United States, and you never heard anybody talking about them. Now this is the American strategy, and he's a good student. He will calm down everybody, okay?
That's his major duty.
Major duty.
Because they constantly were sending messages last night. This is a peaceful transition. We don't want anyone to be frightened. We will maintain the institutions. We will maintain the things as they are. And if everyone wants to join us, they are more than welcome to join us. They're using this kind of language and speech as if they're prevailing peaceful atmosphere within Syria.
It's upsetting.
At one point, of course, a lot of Syrians were petrified by this quick escalation and quick invasion.
I hope he will implement what he's saying, okay? And I wish that his cause will be to free Palestine. If so, everybody maybe will accept his existence. If not, and he will be against the Palestinian cause, he will be in the cradle, American cradle, fully, and he will implement the American policy in the Middle East.
Yes.
I don't think he will last. But even though, if he opposes the American policy, also he will not last. So he is in a position which is very critical, and calming down people. It's an American strategy
And it's
policy.
still cloudy, the situation over there.
Of
We
course.
are unable to actually understand how things are going, because also there is a major question asked that will the opposition govern Syria, or will there be a transitional phase to hand over power to someone else nominated by the opposition?
We will see the American instruction. What's the American instruction now? Is to calming down people of Syria, to snake in and to do and to implement all the American strategy inside Syria. The American strategy is to have confederation in Syria. This is what
Yes.
Levi Lewis said. I'm talking about 15 years ago. And this policies is prepared was prepared in 1981, and Abraham San Institution, they talked about that and how to make a fragmentation of the countries surrounding Israel. And we are talking about Egypt, Syria, Iraq, and we're still talking about the rolling of the new Middle East. We know that a place under the sun, a place between nations.
Yes.
This is books of Netanyahu. We are talking about the new Middle East, the book of Shimon Peres. We are talking about a new Christian Zionism created and written by George W. Bush. They put all the plans in front of us, and they said we should implement the Torah predictions in the area. And they are talking about, if you you saw and you heard what Donald Trump said, they said Judea and Samaria, and also Netanyahu mentioned that it means the West Bank is gone.
Okay.
They consider that taking West Bank, as I said, in era deal number 2, and all what the Israelis and the American policy, maybe they will be in conflict.
Okay, so you're looking
with
at the entire scenario
Yes,
from
yes.
a wider perspective, Doctor, from a wider vision, if we can say, because obviously all what you are highlighting comes in the favor of the Israeli map and the Israeli decision and the Israeli ideology and the perception of how they want to see a new Middle East. And that's exactly what has been happening.
How can Al-Julani,
Of course-
with his promises,
Yes.
can be implemented if it is with conflict and contradiction with the American and Israeli
Okay.
who supported him
But we cannot
to reach what he read,
Okay, but we can-
what he's at now.
And the new personality that he's prevailing himself at. Okay, but also definitely we cannot underestimate the role of the Turkey government here, because of course what we have seen and the support that Turkey was actually giving to these groups was significant. And not only that, they were even highlighting what will happen next. The information that was coming from Turkey told us exactly what will happen next. And the same language that is used today by Al-Julani is the same language used by the Turkish government, the Turkish president. Now they will move to Aleppo. The next day they move to Aleppo. They don't want, the opposition does not want to fight with the factions. They are ready to accept them as they are, and they are ready for talks. That's exactly what Al-Julani spoke about last night. So it's as if we are hearing two similar voices coming from two different locations. I want to know your take about the role of Turkey in this.
Yes. I think Al-Julani is a tool for the Turkish. And I think Turkey is a tool in the hand of the American and the Israelis. Do you think the Israeli will accept a strong country next to them again as Syria? No. What we saw in Libya, that's what will happen in Syria. But now
Why the opposition are not united?
No, they are not.
They are not united.
No, they
there
are
is
not. They are not. Even if they are united now,
yes.
if they are united now, Israel will break and breach them parts. They will not accept Syria in the hand of Bashar al-Assad or in the hand of Al-Julani.
Yes.
No, Syria will not be strong anymore. And the next step maybe they don't see that, but I see it myself. They consider to break down Turkey. The next step for Israel and the European Union and the United States, they cannot tolerate Turkey anymore to be next to Europe and becoming strong and strong. They told Turkey the era deal number 2, you can take north of Syria, north of Turkey,
Yes.
north of Iraq,
Yes.
to be a greater Turkey.
Okay.
But now they are smuggling and showing some new maps for Turkey, saying that the Turkish policy not only dominating North Syria and North Iraq, but also dominating the old places that were dominated by the Ottoman Empire
Yes.
for the Eastern Europe, and we are talking about Greece and Romania and
Okay, and that
Bulgaria.
explains that according.
So
it
it means
yes.
it means
please.
that they want to make Turkey the next step, not to be strong,
to weaken Turkey.
to weaken Turkey, not to be strong enough to oppose any decision will be made by the European Union or by the Israelis
Okay.
or by the Americans.
Okay, now when the question comes, how will they be able to do what you are highlighting about the Israelis affecting Turkey and Turkey is next? Can it be this scenario? Because according to Israeli official, Israel is prepared to assist Kurds and Druze who seek help.
Thank you.
This
you are
reflects
answering. Yeah, yes,
because
yes.
these are latest information coming in
That-
that this is Israel is prepared to assist Kurds and Druze. I mean, out of all the opposition
We are
factions,
talking about the Suwaida,
they only
we are
picked
talking
up.
about
They
North
picked up
East
two.
Syria.
Exactly, they picked up two factions
Okay.
to reflect the scenario that you're
Exactly.
highlighting.
Do you think that Turkey will tolerate a new Kurdish self-governed country connected to the north of Iraq? And we have 24 million Kurdish people living in eastern Turkey. Do you think they can tolerate that? Do you think that what's going on in Europe, Turkey, the
Yes.
part of Turkey which exists in Europe, they want to be separated also? So it means what the Turkish government did, it will be going
Reflected on it.
reflected against them.
Okay.
And I don't know how they read the strategy. And now Al-Golani, maybe he's telling the truth that
Okay,
he
but-
wants to unify Syria, but
Yes.
he cannot.
Okay, does this explain the intensive meetings that were happening, whether in Baghdad or in Doha, when the foreign ministers of 5 Arab countries, Egypt, Qatar, Jordan, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia, and their counterparts from the Astana, track Russia, Turkey, and Iran? Because also news were coming in that this is the first time that we've seen such a meeting happening so fast and happening with all these factions
What's
joined.
the
Is it because they were aware of the plan that you're highlighting and you're speaking about the danger in countering the Middle East, not only Turkey but also different factions?
Let me tell you step by
Not
step.
only because
Turkey,
not only to prevail support to the Israeli government, to the Syrian government, but also because they were aware of a plan that's been calculated and that was about to be implemented on the Middle East.
That's exactly it. And United States, after the falling of Syria, not the regime, Syria,
Yes.
they are declaring themselves again as unipolar power of the world.
But these countries feel the danger, as you're highlighting, Doctor.
Now, the strategy and the new maps. Turkish first.
Yes.
Egypt.
Syria first.
Syria is finished.
It's finished. Okay.
Turkish first. Turkey first.
Second.
Egypt.
After Syria. Yes.
No, I'm talking about the next step.
Okay. The next step. Yes.
Second is Egypt.
Okay.
Jordan is
But we thought that Iraq is next.
no.
We're
Iraq.
talking about the strong axis of resistance.
Yes. No. Not only the resistance. We are talking about. You can go back and
Yes.
read the American strategy. They have no confidence in Egypt. You know what's going on? Egypt is surrounded. They have a Nahda Dam against Egypt. It's surrounded by chaos and conflicts in Libya, in Gaza. They are trying to make a new bypass Ben Gurion against the Suez Canal to kill Egypt economically.
Yes.
So Egypt is surrounded, is under pressure. Egypt is under debt. We are talking about $200-300 billion. So Egypt is very weak. So we are talking about
we don't
the
have to
most
forget
dangerous.
the Camp David agreement that also allows. Camp David agreement is one of the most important things
but it
that
was
ties
breached
Egypt
by,
with Israel.
and violated by the Israelis when they entered the Philadelphia Acts.
Okay.
Okay, this is one. The secondly, talking about Egypt, Jordan is no power to oppose such policy.
Yes.
Okay, and then Iraq, Iran, Russia, China. This is the whole plan.
Okay.
How long it will take, but by the falling of Syria,
yes, then the other ones will be
the
easy.
others will be
according to them. Okay.
Like scheduled one by one. But maybe, by the way, maybe you will see a chaos in Turkey and you see a chaos in Egypt.
Yes.
And don't forget that the Egyptian now, they are against the Islamic Brotherhood.
Yes.
Which are now in Syria and in Turkey.
Okay.
So
what we do care about also, as before our time is up, speaking about the sleeper cells that are with the borders between Lebanon and Syria, how will these new developments and the escalation inside escalation of crisis inside Syria affect Lebanon, Doctor?
I think
especially the resistance.
Hezbollah did not intervene in this last conflict in Syria.
Yes.
Hezbollah defended the Palestinian cause until the last moment. Strongly. So I think now we have to work on gather.
Do you see any threat? Do you see any threat on Lebanon after the fall of Bashar al-Assad?
Everything is predictable or unpredictable. We can see that the Israelis now seeing the weakness in Syria, the weakness in Gaza, the weakness of in Iraq, in Turkey, in Egypt, in Iran. They cannot go into war anymore now, at least for a period of time.
Okay.
They will take this occasion, if they see that, they will take this occasion to try to make some intervention from the Syrian border, but I don't think they will.
And how will the fighters, the Hezbollah fighters, how will they react to this?
The Hezbollah
same way that they protected
strong.
in 2014 and during Nahr al-Barid, and during when these groups infiltrated into Lebanon, they were standing steadfast in front of these violations. Will they do the same now?
I think Hezbollah
are they ready for it?
In a place that if this new government in Damascus will be, I don't think Hezbollah will have any obstacles to go and negotiate if this government will put the cause of Palestine up in the priorities, and the gathers of all the Islamic sections. I'm talking about Sunni, Shia.
So we have to wait and see the reality of power inside Syria and how things will
because
elaborate.
we call that gathering and grouping of Sunni and Shia in the war against the Israelis. And I think the American and the Israelis will try to break these ties again, and to show the enemies of the Sunni, the Shia, and the Shia, the enemy is Sunni, it will not work. And I think the most important...
Yesterday, by the way, the opposition yesterday said that they want to protect the minorities inside Syria, especially the Alawites.
We have to wait.
Okay.
I hope it's not petting, it's not calming down people.
Yes.
I hope this is true. And if this new government in Syria will take into consideration the Palestinian cause, I don't think Hezbollah will have a problem
And if
with
they
them.
exactly so according to their own decision from the Palestinian cause, then we will be able to understand the other scenarios.
Exactly, because we cannot have an agreement with the government that
Okay.
a new state inside the normalization
As you
group.
highlighted, we have to wait and see what things will, how things
Exactly.
will evolve inside Syria. Dr. Ali Hamia, military and strategic researcher, it was very nice talking to you. Thank you very much for joining us. Dear viewers, our time is up. We'll be here tomorrow with more political updates. Stay tuned.